Hey guys, Junior G here. Before this video starts, I wanted to give you a checklist of all the things that you need for this interview. If you like that checklist, message me on Facebook and I'll give you the checklist. Just send me your email, your name, and I'll be sending it to you shortly. Thank you and enjoy the video. Alright, so you want to learn how to do a testimonial for your business or a client, or maybe you want to learn when the time comes. First thing that you should do is get your questions in order. If your questions are whack, then the whole interview is not even interesting at all for the viewer to watch or even for you to even enjoy the interview. Steer away from yes or no questions and at least have 10 questions prepared. Another thing to keep in mind is to be keeping the name of the company inside the questions. Branding is a huge thing and you want the customer or the testimonial to be responsive in the question. For example, what is your favorite part about A, B, and C restaurant? Why did you choose ABC restaurant for your birthday? Would you recommend ABC restaurant to neighbors, community? And if so, why? So you just want to keep the interviewer very interesting and not just be like, yes, no, absolutely. You want to keep, yes, I love the restaurant, I love how the meal is, and etc. Alright, now that you got your questions prepared, let's get into the filming part. You're going to want to have the person that's being interviewed in the rule of thirds. Rule of thirds is just basically keeping your subject in a composition to make your video balanced. For example, I have two subjects, so I'm going to keep them on the left and right of the rule of thirds. Side note, don't film behind a white wall. It's just so boring to watch somebody just talk for a long time and it just be a white background. That's why I have this mess behind me. Next thing you should have is lighting. If you don't have any lights, it's all good. You can get lights from Amazon like the ones I'm gonna show in the picture right here. I'm gonna provide a link to the lights that you guys should buy. These are the ones that I'm using. I'm even using some work lights for this lighting right now. But for this interview, I use the sun. One thing you should keep in mind is that you don't want the subject to be facing towards the sun or else they start to squint a lot. You want them to be as comfortable as possible. So you want the sun to be kind of hitting them at an angle. For me, I filmed at a really bad time. The sun was very intense and high up right here, hitting them straight on the back of their heads. So I had to improvise with what I got. With the sun being on the top side of their heads, one side was really well intensely lit while the other side was very dark. So what I used is I used a bounce board to bounce light from the sun from this way. If you don't have one at your disposal, you can get a white sheet or even a white shirt, and you can go down to the store and buy one of those trifold presentation boards. Those will work fine. Next thing you want is really good audio. This is where I personally messed up because when I was recording the interview, I didn't double check my equipment and this mic was not recording during the interview. So I had to use the mic for my camera, which is still fine, it's still doable. But as a tip from my mistake, so that way you don't do it, make sure you triple check your equipment, make sure it's recording, make sure the volumes are set right, so on and so forth. So in my recommendation, you should probably get a lav mic or an external audio, link in the description. And if you don't have enough money, buy external audio like a Zoom or something like very expensive. Just buy a lav mic, they're like 20 bucks, and then connect it to your phone and then you get a separate audio. Alright, so now you got all your equipment and all the basics down. Now it's time for the actual filming process. After you filmed and ask your questions, you want to get something that's called B-roll. B-roll is an alternative of the main shot. A-roll is the main footage, like me talking to the camera. That is the main part of the interview. So this is the main camera. This is A-roll. For example, I recorded the patio with the pavers and used that for B-roll because that's what my interview consists of. If it's at a restaurant, for example, you could be recording the chef like cooking up a meal or a server serving the meal. And for your A-roll footage, it would be the interviewer or the chef talking while he's preparing the meal or she is preparing the meal. Some things to keep in mind is you want to make sure that the person being interviewed is as comfortable as possible, like I said before. To make them feel comfortable, people are intimidated by a camera. Some people, when a camera hits them, they are just scared. So to make them feel comfortable, just tell them that it's kind of like a conversation you're having with them. So when you're asking the questions, just feel very comfortable and confident and just talk with them. So before you even start the interview, so that way when you're testing out your audio, ask them about their day, ask them what they're doing tomorrow. Just keep it talking so that way they feel comfortable even before the interview even starts. Number 2, while you're interviewing the person, do not talk while interviewing them. It's very simple. I caught myself a lot of times when I was interviewing a person that I kept talking, so it kind of threw off my editing. So I had to kind of mess with the audio so that way it would sound normal. Before you start the interview, make sure that you ask the interviewee to repeat the question when they're answering the question. Lastly, just have fun and treat it as a conversation that you really are engaged in. Alright, now that you have all those things ready, all the film and B-roll, just put it into editing, put some music on that, and boom, you got yourself an interview. Now recap. Number 1, keep questions open-ended. Number 2, keep the person in the rule of thirds and don't film behind a white wall. Number 3, keep it well lit. For later on, I'll be teaching you guys some different types of lighting, but for now, just try to use the sun, and then so that way you can naturally grow your lighting experience. Keep it as simple as possible for yourself. Number 4, please invest in audio. If you have the best camera in the world and your audio sucks, your video quality goes down. Number 5, shoot a lot of B-roll. You never know when B-roll can really help you in the editing process, whether the person is talking, so just have so much variety. I use B-roll all the time to fill in some of the fluff in interview, in case if like I'm talking while that person is talking. It comes in handy when I have to cut to another section, because when you cut to another section, it looks like it's flowing. It's not just like Another thing to keep in mind is that if an interview keeps saying or and or you can use the B-roll to cut out that audio and then put the B-roll there, so that way it doesn't look like they're a robot or something. As always, work with what you got and just create and have fun with it. Later on, I'll be showing you guys how to edit an interview, so look forward to that. This has been Junior G, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you later.